Good morning, my dear friend, as the first light of dawn stretches gently across the sky. I welcome you into this sacred moment, the quiet space, where the world has not yet fully awakened, but your spirit already begins to stir. The birds are just beginning to sing their first songs. The air is cool with promise, and everything feels tender, as if heaven itself leans in a little closer during these early hours. This is not just morning, it is a holy invitation, an invitation to exhale the burdens of yesterday and inhale the hope of today, an invitation to step away from the noise and into a space where your soul can breathe again. Perhaps you have arrived here with a heart that has been heavy for far too long. Maybe you are still carrying the weight of a night that never seemed to end. I think of someone who once told me they would wake up each morning with a knot in their chest before even opening their eyes. They were facing a season of deep loss grief over a relationship that had ended without closure, fear over finances that never seemed to stretch far enough, and a quiet, etching question in their soul: where is God in all of this? They tried to pray, but the words did not come. They tried to believe, but their faith felt like a flickering candle in the wind. Maybe that person is you today, or maybe it is someone you love. Whoever it is, I want to gently remind you, just because you feel broken does not mean you are beyond repair. Just because life has been hard does not mean God has been absent. He sees, He knows, and He is near. This moment is not about pretending everything is fine. It is about being real with your fears, your disappointments, your questions. And it is in that realness that something beautiful begins to happen, because faith is not built in comfort. It is often born in the shadows, in the wilderness seasons, where nothing makes sense. Yet somehow you still reach for the hand of God. Today, we are not chasing emotions. We are stepping into truth. The truth that prayer is not a performance. It is a conversation, a holy conversation between you and the one who created you, a God who is not intimidated by your doubt, who is not turned away by your weakness, who is not measuring you by your past. He is listening. And more than that, He is responding. There is power in prayer, not just the kind that moves mountains, but the kind that softens your heart, that steadies your thoughts, that reminds you who you are and whose you are. Prayer does not always change the situation instantly, but it always begins to change you. And sometimes, that is the greater miracle. So this morning, I want to invite you into a journey, not a journey of pressure or perfection, but of presence. A journey that will lead you through honest reflection, bold faith, and deep renewal. You do not need to be strong to begin. You just need to be willing to open your heart, even a little, willing to whisper if you can shout, willing to believe that maybe, just maybe, God is not finished with your story yet. Let this be the start of something sacred, not because of fancy words, because your heart dares to reach for heaven again. Wherever you are, in your car, at your kitchen table, lying awake in bed, I believe you are here for a reason, not by accident, not by coincidence, but because God is calling you to rise, not just from your bed, but from your fear, from your despair, from your spiritual slumber. Are you ready? Then take a deep breath, and let us begin this conversation with God together. Dear Heavenly Father, I come to you this morning without pretense. I do not have the answers. I do not have the strength. I do not even have the right words, but I bring what I have, my honest heart, and this quiet cry from within. The sun has barely touched the sky, yet my soul already feels worn. There is a heaviness I cannot explain, a kind of sadness that lingers even after rest. I open my eyes to a new day, but it feels like yesterday never left. The fears returned before the light did, and I admit that I feel unprepared for another morning like this. Lord, there are moments when I question why the H remains, why the tears still come, why certain prayers still sit unanswered. I carry worries about the future, regrets from the past, and battles in the present that seem to have no end. Some wounds are loud, and some are quiet, but both are real. I do not bring them to complain. I bring them because I do not want to carry them alone. I know you see it all, even what I cannot describe. This morning I wake with a tired body, a restless mind, and a heart that longs to feel safe again. Not safe from people or from the world, but safe in knowing you are close, safe in knowing I am not forgotten. I do not need you to rush in and fix everything in an instant. I just need to feel your presence in this place where I am unsteady, unsure, and still believing that you care. Sometimes it feels like I am walking through fog, unable to see clearly, unsure of what comes next. But in that fog, I reach for you. I whisper your name, not with certainty, but with hope. Because even hope that trembles is still hope. Even faith that feels small is still faith. You said that a mustard seed of faith could move mountains. Maybe mine is just that today, a mustard seed. Maybe that is enough. There are things I have been carrying that no one else knows about. Burdens I hide beneath smiles. Fears I press down when I speak confidently to others. Tears I wipe quickly so they do not show. But nothing is hidden from you. And that brings me comfort, because it means I do not need to perform for you. I do not need to pretend. I do not need to be fixed to be welcomed. I only need to be real. So I am real this morning. I am real about my questions, my doubts, my loneliness. I am real about the nights I lie awake with a racing heart, and the mornings I hesitate to rise because I fear what might come, but I rise anyway, and in doing so, I offer you these first few moments of the day. I offer you my mess, my H, my uncertainty. I offer you myself, however fragile I feel. Lord, meet me in this vulnerability. Remind me that I am not too broken for you. Remind me that I am not too far, too weak, or too late. Your word says you are close to the broken-hearted. Then be close to me now. I do not ask for loud answers. I ask for gentle nearness, a stillness that quiets the panic, a whisper that pushes back the noise, a peace that does not depend on things making sense. Today might not be easy. I might face challenges that scare me, situations I cannot control, people I cannot please, expectations I cannot meet. But if you go with me, I will walk forward anyway, not because I am fearless, but because I believe you walk beside those who admit their fear and still move. I believe you honor those who fall and get up again, even if their knees shake. I believe you hear the prayers that sound more like sighs and gather the tears that never fall aloud. Let this morning be the beginning of something sacred, not something big or dramatic, just real. Let it be the moment when I choose to trust even when I do not feel strong. Let it be the moment when I speak to you not because I have it all together, but because I know you love me even when I do not. You do not ask for perfection. You ask for surrender, and so I surrender. I surrender the pressure to perform, the fear of failing, the weight of needing to know what comes next. Let me begin this day not by rushing, but by resting in you, not by hiding my pain, but by handing it over, not by denying my emotions, but by inviting you into them. Let this be the hour where my honesty becomes the doorway to healing, where my silence becomes the space for your voice, where my weakness becomes the place where your strength is made perfect. I do not need to be brave to begin. I only need to be willing. And so I offer you my willingness. I offer you my breath, my trembling, my uncertainty. I offer you this moment and ask you to make it holy, not because of anything I have done, but because you are near, you are here, and even if that is all I can cling to right now, it is enough. So I sit with you, in this sacred beginning, in this quiet place, in the honesty of my morning despair, and I wait. I listen. I open my heart again not because I feel strong, but because I believe you are. And that, somehow, is enough for today, Lord. You know how long I have kept these feelings buried. I tried to stay quiet. I tried to be strong. I tried to carry it all on my own, convincing myself that silence was safer than breaking open. But something inside me can no longer hold back. This morning, as I sit in the fragile peace of this early hour, something deeper is stirring. Not anger, not resignation, but a cry. Not a polished prayer, not a formal request. Just a cry from the core of who I am, a sound that has no words yet means everything. I cannot keep pretending that I am fine when I am not. I cannot keep telling myself it does not hurt, that it does not matter, that it will go away if I ignore it long enough. God, it hurts, and it matters, and it is still here, the H in my chest, the tightness in my throat, the questions I try to outrun, all of it rises now. I cannot outrun myself anymore. I have tried to be the calm in the storm for others, the one who listens, who smiles, who says it will all work out. But now I admit that I need a place to unravel, a place where the tears are not judged, where the pain is not compared, where the struggle is not minimized. Let this be that place. Let this moment be where the dam breaks not to flood me with shame, but to free me from silence. I cry out to you, not because I know how to explain it, but because I trust that you understand what I cannot say. I cry out because I believe you are not annoyed by the sound of my sorrow, not distant from the sound of my breaking. You are the one who formed my voice. You are the one who hears even the groan beneath my breath. So I offer it to you, not a neatly folded prayer, but the torn pieces of my heart, unfiltered and unedited. Why does it feel so hard to name the things that haunt me? Why do I still try to hide my wounds, even in your presence? I think maybe it is because I have believed the lie that faith means being unaffected, that strength means smiling through pain. But you never asked me to be unaffected. You only asked me to be honest. You never asked me to hide my tears. You only asked me to bring them. So here they are, the disappointments I never told anyone, the grief that lingers without a headline, the guilt I carry for things I could not control, the loneliness that whispers at the edge of every conversation, the fear that I am too much and not enough at the same time. I bring it all now, every silent sob, every buried regret, every wound that still throbs in the dark. And even as I cry, something unexpected begins to rise in me. Not relief, not yet, but release. The beginning of release, like an opening door in a windowless room, like the first breeze in a space that has been sealed too long. My voice may shake, but it is still mine, and I choose to use it. I choose to call out not for answers, but for presence. Not for perfect outcomes, but for comfort in the process. If you are near, then I am not forsaken. If you hear me, then I am not invisible. I do not ask for everything to change today. I ask for the strength to not shut down again. I ask for the courage to keep crying when I need to keep feeling, even when it is messy. To believe that you are not disappointed in my breaking, but drawn to it, that you do not step away from my weakness, but closer toward it, that my tears are not interruptions, but invitations for you to come near. Let this be the beginning of a new kind of faith, one that does not perform, does not polish, does not pretend, one that bleeds and still believes, one that shouts and still surrenders, one that cries in the wilderness and still trusts that you hear. I do not need to be composed. I need to be known. I do not need to impress you. I need to reach you. And I believe that my rawness does not repel you. It moves your heart. If you are the God who collects my tears in a bottle, then surely you sit with me in this very moment, not rushing me to recover, not pushing me to move on, but simply being here. I have feared being too emotional. I have been told to toughen up, to push through, to shake it off. But none of that healed me. What begins to heal me now is the truth that can bring the full weight of my sorrow to you. And you will not look away. You are not exhausted by my emotions. You are not overwhelmed by my grief. You do not measure my faith by how still I stand, but by how freely I bring my heart to you. So I bring it freely, maybe not perfectly, but honestly. I cry not because I have lost hope, but because I want to hope again. I cry because something deep inside still believes you care, still believes you can hold me together when I am falling apart, still believes that this wilderness is not the end of the story. Let these tears water the ground beneath me, softening the soil for something new to grow. Let this cry be heard, not only by heaven but by my own heart, that I am alive. I am feeling, I am still reaching, and in reaching, I am not alone. Even if the wilderness does not end today, I ask for your voice to meet me in it, not in thunder, not in fire, but in the gentle whisper that says, I am not forgotten. I am not abandoned. I am not too far gone. You see me here. You hold me here. And you will walk with me through every shadow until light finds me again. So I cry, not with shame, but with hope. Hope that this sound, however broken, is still holy. Hope that this moment, however raw, is still sacred. Hope that you, God of all mercy, will turn even my weeping into the first notes of a song I have not learned to sing yet. And if all I have today is this cry, then I give it to you as my offering, not wrapped in eloquence, not dressed in strength, but drenched in need. Let it rise to you like incense in the early light. Let it be enough for now. Let it be heard. Father, as the sound of my crying settles and the quiet returns, something begins to surface within me. It is not loud or sudden. It is a remembering, a gentle stirring that rises beneath the H, reminding me that my story did not begin in pain, and it will not end here. Even in this stillness, my heart starts to look backward, not to reopen wounds, but to search for signs of your faithfulness along the path that brought me here. I remember moments when I thought I would not survive, yet somehow I did. I remember days when fear felt permanent, yet it loosened its grip with time. I remember doors that once seemed sealed, then slowly opened in ways I could never have planned. These memories do not erase my current struggle, but they speak to it. They tell me that despair has visited before, did not have the final word. God. I recall times when my strength ran out and something greater carried me. I recall prayers whispered in desperation that were answered quietly, sometimes long after I stopped watching for the answer. I recall how you provided when resources were scarce, how you comforted me when no one else knew what to say, how you protected me from outcomes I never even saw coming. These moments were not accidents. They were your hand at work, steady and unseen. As I sit here now, I realize how easily I forget when pain is fresh, how quickly suffering narrows my vision until all I can see is what hurts. But remembering stretches my perspective. It reminds me that you have been present in more seasons than I can count. You were with me when I laughed freely. You were with me when I broke quietly. You were with me when I stood uncertain at crossroads. And you guided me forward even when I hesitated. I think of stories passed down through generations, loves transformed in moments of surrender, hope restored where none seemed possible. I think of promises fulfilled long after patience wore thin. I think of healing that came not only to bodies, but to minds and hearts that had grown weary. These stories are not distant. They echo into my own life, reminding me that you remain the same. This remembering does not rush me. It does not demand instant faith or sudden confidence. It simply invites me to breathe differently, to loosen my grip on despair just enough to make room for trust. I may not feel strong yet, but I feel steadier. I may not see the outcome, but I sense that I am not abandoned within the process. Lord, I allow these memories to speak louder than my doubts. I let them interrupt the narrative that tells me nothing will change. I let them challenge the fear that insists this time is different in the worst way. You have brought me through before, not because I deserved it, but because you are faithful, and that faithfulness does not expire with time or circumstance. I remember how you shaped growth out of waiting, how you turned loss into understanding, how you softened my heart in seasons that once felt unbearable. Even when answers came slowly, they came with purpose. Even when paths twisted unexpectedly, they led me somewhere deeper. These reflections do not minimize my pain today, but they anchor me in truth. As the morning light strengthens, so does this quiet assurance. It does not shout. It does not promise ease. It simply reminds me that you have never left me to navigate alone. Every step forward has been marked by your presence. Even when I failed to notice it at the time, God, I hold these memories gently, not as proof that life will be perfect, but as evidence that you are trustworthy. Let them settle into my spirit and steady me where fear once dominated. Let them reshape how I face this day, not with certainty about outcomes, but with confidence in your character. I may still carry questions, but I also carry remembrance. I may still feel fragile, but I am not without history. My past bears witness to your care, your patience, and your ability to bring light into unexpected places. And as I sit with this awareness, something within me begins to lift. Not because everything is resolved, but because hope has found a place to stand. A small place, perhaps, but solid enough to support the next step. I allow this remembering to guide my thoughts, to soften my fears, and to open my heart again to possibility. Father, I do not rush ahead. I remain here for a moment longer, letting gratitude quietly take shape, letting remembrance do its gentle work, trusting that the same hand that carried me then is still holding me now, and will continue to do so as this day unfolds. Father, as I sit in this stillness, wrapped in the gentle memory of how you have shown up in my life before, something begins to shift. The remembering has stirred more than comfort. It has awakened courage, not loud courage, not the kind that runs ahead shouting, but quiet confidence, the kind that comes from knowing who you are, not just who I am. The kind that steadies the trembling heart and begins to whisper back to fear. Enough now, because you are not a distant comfort. You are not only the God who once did, you are the God who still does, the God who moves when the road ends, the God who speaks when silence lingers, the God who holds when the pieces do not fit, the God who does not flinch at the word impossible. And this morning, I need to remember that truth like breath in my lungs. I lift my eyes now from what has been and begin to look again at what could be not, because I have the strength to make it happen, but because you do, because you are not restrained by time or trapped by logic, because you are not bound by diagnosis or debt or statistics or odds. You are the God who parts seas, who feeds thousands with little, who speaks and the winds obey. I bring before you now everything that feels too far gone, the dreams I buried, the relationships that fractured, the opportunities that passed me by, the parts of myself I thought I lost in the fire. I bring them not because I know how to rebuild them, but because you can. You breathe life into dry bones. You speak light into darkness. You write new chapters where I thought the book was closed. There are situations right now, Lord, that look unmovable, conversations that feel too complicated, pain that seems too deep. But I remember now that you are not a helper. You are a healer. You are not a fixer. You are a creator. You do not need something to work with. You can call forth beauty from nothing. You can bring order to chaos. You can turn mourning into joy, even if the grief still lingers. So I name these impossibilities out loud, not to be defeated by them, but to surrender them into your hands. I name the broken relationship where every attempt to reconcile has failed. I name the physical condition that no doctor has been able to solve. I name the empty bank account that keeps me up at night. I name the child who has wandered far. I name the secret fear that I am too late, too behind, too lost to be restored. And in naming them, I take back power from fear, because fear thrives in shadows, but faith grows in the light. So I lift these things into the light now, where you dwell, you, who formed the stars and know them by name, you, who shaped my soul before I ever spoke a word, you, who numbered every hair on my head and still call me yours. You do not see limitation, you see opportunity. You see potential buried in pain. You see future hidden in disappointment. You see healing on the other side of heartbreak. So I choose today, not to magnify the mountain, but to magnify you. To speak not only about the size of the problem, but about the power of the one who holds the solution. Let my thoughts begin to align with what is true, not just what is visible. Let my words carry life, not fear. Let my prayers become declarations, not just requests. Let my posture be one of expectation, not just desperation. I want to walk through this day as someone who believes that you are able not just in theory, but here, in this life, in these circumstances, in this very moment. You are not a memory. You are a presence, not a once-upon-a-time God, but an always God. The same one who brought water from the rock can bring joy from my sorrow. The same one who calmed the storm can quiet the chaos within me. The same one who opened prison doors can set my soul free from what binds it still. God, I do not ask for comfort without change. I ask for transformation. I ask for you to show up in ways that only you can. Not so I can boast, but so I can testify. So I can say, look what the Lord has done. Not to impress others, but to remind myself again and again that you are faithful. You are powerful. You are near. You are the God who made rivers in deserts. Make one in me where it feels dry and cracked, where hope has thinned and patience has run short. Pour out something new. Let living water touch what has felt lifeless. Let joy spring up in unexpected places. Let strength rise where I thought I had nothing left. I speak to the fear that still knocks. I speak to the doubt that lingers at the edges. I do not deny their presence, but I deny them power. They no longer get the final word, because your word stands above them. Your promise speaks louder. Your truth cuts through their noise. And your truth says that with you, all things are possible. So I open my hands again. I open my heart. I release every I can tee and every I am afraid, and I trade them for but God. Because you are the interruption to every limitation. You are the turning point in every story. You are the strength in my surrender. You are the reason I will not give up. You do not need me to be perfect, just willing. willing to believe again, willing to trust even when it still hurts, willing to speak faith in the face of fear, willing to stand still and see what you will do. I will not define what is possible by what I see. I will define it by who you are, because you are the God of the impossible, and you are still writing my story. God, even as I speak of your power, even as I remind myself that nothing is too hard for you, I feel another truth rising in me, one that is harder to face. I can believe you are able, but I still want to decide how and when you move. I trust your strength, but I find myself holding on to control like a shield. I say I surrender, but part of me still clings to the timeline I imagined, the path I mapped out, the outcome I quietly hope you will follow. I confess that it is hard to let go, not because I do not love you, but because I do not want to feel helpless. I want to manage, to predict, to steer my life towards safety and clarity. But this morning, I realize that control has become a burden, not a comfort. It exhausts me, it distracts me, it distances me from peace. Because no matter how tightly I hold the reins, I cannot control the winds. I cannot force the outcomes, and trying only wears me thin. So I bring this part of me to you, now the part that strategizes before it surrenders, that plans before it prays, that fears if I do not take charge, everything will fall apart. But Father, I know this fear is a lie. I am not the author of my life. I am not the keeper of all things. I am not responsible for making every door open, every storm pass, every answer come in time. That is not my burden to carry. It was never meant to be. I want to trust you, not just with the impossible, but with the ordinary, with the daily decisions, with the unknown timelines, with the uncomfortable waiting, with the detours I did not choose. I want to trust that when you say you are working all things together for good, you mean even this delay, this silence, this unexpected turn. I want to trust not only in your ability to act, but in your wisdom to wait. I lay down my need to know what comes next. I lay down my constant calculating. I lay down the expectations I have crafted in my mind, the pressure I have put on myself to make everything fit neatly. I release the version of the future I have been clinging to and make space for what you are writing instead. Help me, Lord, to recognize the difference between being responsible and being controlling. Help me to move in wisdom, but not in fear. Help me to prepare with excellence, but not obsess over perfection. Help me to act in obedience, but not manipulate outcomes. I do not want to get ahead of you. I do not want to lag behind you. I want to walk with you. Teach me what it means to truly surrender, not just once, but daily, not as a dramatic gesture, but as a quiet posture. Let surrender become the rhythm of my soul, the way I breathe, the way I begin each day, the way I release each night. Let it not be a one-time act, but a lifestyle, where I wake with open hands and lay down with open heart, trusting that you are in control even when I do not understand. I give you my schedule, my dreams, my relationships, my decisions. I give you the things I have been trying to fix in my own strength. I give you the people I have been trying to carry. I give you the situations I have been analyzing from every angle, hoping I might unlock the key to make it all work. I give you my desire to protect myself from pain, from risk, from the unknown. And in place of control, I ask for trust, deep, quiet, anchored trust, the kind that allows me to rest even when the answers have not come, the kind that keeps me steady even when plans change, the kind that does not demand signs but clings to your presence, the kind that breathes easy in the dark because it knows who holds the light. Let my surrender not be resignation, but release, not giving up, but giving over, not passive, but active in faith. Help me to stop wrestling with what is not mine to hold and start worshiping with what is. Let me not shrink in fear, but lean in closer. Let me not grasp tighter, but fall deeper into you. I know you are not asking me to be careless. You are asking me to be carried. You are not asking me to figure it all out. You are asking me to follow. And sometimes that following means walking without a map, trusting that each step will be revealed in time. Sometimes it means waiting at closed doors without forcing them open. Sometimes it means being still long enough to hear the whisper that reminds me you are near. So I slow down. I breathe deeper. I unclench the fists I did not realize I would curled. And I whisper again, I trust you. I do not say it because I feel brave. I say it because I want to be free. Free from the need to always be right. Free from the fear of what could go wrong. Free from the illusion that I am in control. God, take what I have been gripping too tightly. Take the pieces I have tried to arrange. Take the story I have been trying to write in my own way. I lay them down. Not because I have lost hope, but because I want to hope rightly. Not in my plans, but in your goodness. Not in my timelines, but in your timing. Not in my will, but in yours. Let this be the turning point. Let this be where my striving ends and my trusting begins. Let this be where I remember that you are not a distant God who watches silently, but a present God who holds each moment. You see the steps ahead even when I can tell. You see the purpose behind every pause. You see the beauty being formed in places I called broken. So I choose surrender again. In the waiting, in the questions, in the places where I still long for resolution. I choose to release what is not mine to carry and receive the peace that comes when I let go. I am not the one holding everything. Together, you are, and you do not need my control. You invite my trust, God, as I release my grip and loosen the weight I have carried for so long. A new stillness settles within me. It is unfamiliar at first, almost uncomfortable, because I am used to noise inside my thoughts. But in this quiet, I sense something gentle beginning to form. Not answers rushing in, not instructions shouted from above, but a calm awareness that you are near and that you are speaking in ways my hurried heart often misses. I realize now how rarely I pause long enough to listen. I bring requests quickly, concerns endlessly, but I do not always remain present once I have spoken. This morning feels different. The surrender has softened me. The striving has eased, and in that softened place, my spirit leans forward, attentive, waiting. I do not want to fill this space with my own voice anymore. I want to hear yours. Lord, teach me how to listen without demanding clarity. Teach me how to receive without controlling the message. I quiet the internal arguments, the rehearsed conversations, the endless what-ifs that compete for attention. I slow my breathing. I steady my thoughts. I allow silence to become sacred rather than threatening. In this stillness, I trust that you are not absent, but attentive. Your voice does not arrive in force. It arrives in reassurance. It does not rush me forward. It anchors me where I am. It reminds me that I am not forgotten in the waiting and not lost in the quiet. Your voice carries truth that does not overwhelm, correction that does not condemn, guidance that does not confuse. It speaks directly to the parts of me that have been afraid to slow down. I notice how peace begins to settle where anxiety once lived, how clarity replaces chaos without effort, how my heart recognizes your presence, even when my mind struggles to define it. This is not emotional excitement. This is steady calm, a knowing deeper than logic, a sense that I am held even when nothing around me has changed yet. God, I ask that your voice becomes familiar to me, not rare, not distant, but known. I want to recognize the difference between your guidance and my own fears, between your prompting and my impatience, between your truth and the noise of expectation. Teach my spirit to discern what carries your peace and what carries pressure. There are decisions ahead of me, conversations I have been avoiding, paths that remain unclear. I do not need you to reveal everything at once. I only need to hear the next step, the next right movement, the next gentle nudge that keeps me aligned with your will. I trust that as I walk in obedience, the path will unfold as needed. Sometimes your voice comes through memory, reminding me of words spoken long ago that still carry weight. Sometimes it comes through conviction, gently redirecting my heart. Sometimes it comes through quiet assurance, settling questions I could not resolve. However you choose to speak, I choose to listen. I choose to trust that what you say will always lead toward life, even when it challenges my comfort. I release the need for dramatic signs. I release the desire for constant confirmation. I do not need you to prove yourself to me. I need to remain attentive. I need to stay receptive. I need to be willing to pause long enough for your whisper to reach me. Let my mornings become spaces of listening, not just speaking. Let my days carry the awareness that you are guiding even when I am not aware of how. Father, when the world grows loud again, remind me of this stillness. When urgency presses in, remind me to return to this quiet place within. When fear tries to take control, remind me that your voice brings peace, not panic. Help me to carry this awareness into every conversation, every decision, every moment where I am tempted to rush ahead without listening. I want to walk through this day tuned to you, not distracted by comparison, not driven by pressure, not overwhelmed by uncertainty. I want to recognize your guidance in subtle moments, in pauses, in gentle corrections, in unexpected calm. Let my heart remain sensitive, not hardened by noise or disappointment. As I listen now, I sense reassurance rather than instruction, presence rather than direction. And that is enough. Knowing you are with me steadies me more than knowing what comes next. Hearing your quiet affirmations strengthens me more than having every detail explained. I trust that you will speak when I need to hear, and that silence itself can be a form of guidance. God, I remain here a little longer, attentive, open, and willing. I allow this listening to reshape how I move forward. I allow your peace to guide my choices. I allow your nearness to quiet my doubts. I do not rush away from this moment. I carry it with me as I step into the day. Let my life reflect a heart that listens. Let my actions flow from awareness rather than anxiety. Let my trust deepen as I learn that your voice is always present, always steady, always leading me forward, even when it speaks softly. I am listening. I am present. I am open to what you are revealing, one moment at a time. Father, as I continue to sit in this stillness, listening for your whisper, I feel something shift deeper still. The quiet has calmed my thoughts, and in its wake, a new kind of sound begins to rise not from my lips, but from my spirit. It is not a cry, not a plea, but a song not rooted in resolution, but in revelation, a song of praise, not because the circumstances are perfect, but because you are present. And that is reason enough. God, I begin to realize that praise is not reserved for the end of the battle. It is not only for the healed, the delivered, the ones who have seen breakthrough. Praise is for now. Praise is for the middle, the in-between, the not yet. Praise is for those who believe that you are worthy even when life feels heavy. And today, I want my voice to join that song, not because I have seen the miracle yet, because I trust the one who performs them. Let my praise rise from this quiet place and fill the space around me. Let it echo louder than my questions. Let it outlive my fears. Let it silence the lies that still try to whisper doubt. I choose to lift you high, not because I have all the answers, but because you have always been my anchor. I choose to exalt you, not because the storm has passed, but because you are my peace within it. This kind of praise costs something. It is not praise born from comfort. It is the kind that grows from the soil of surrender, the kind that blooms in places where hope once felt buried. It is not loud by volume, but by courage. It is not flashy by expression, but by authenticity. It comes from a soul that has seen the valley and still chooses to lift its eyes. I do not need music to praise. I do not need a crowd or a stage. I need only this heart, and the breath you have given me, and the willingness to say thank you even when I do not yet see the full picture. Thank you for being near. Thank you for being steady. Thank you for being God when I am not. Thank you for the sunrise, even if my soul still feels like it is waiting for light. Thank you for your goodness, even when life has felt unkind. God, I remember now that praise is a weapon. It may not look one to the world, but in the spirit, it shakes walls and shatters chains. It reminds darkness that it has already been defeated. It reminds fear that it has no final say. It reminds my soul that you are still in control. When I praise, I am not ignoring pain, I am putting it in perspective. I am saying that you are greater, stronger, and more faithful than anything that comes against me. Let this praise push back the shadows that try to linger. Let it push back discouragement, doubt, and despair. Let it be the sound that fills the silence, the bridge between my weakness and your strength. Let it rise like incense, not to impress, but to invite, not to perform, but to connect, not to earn your love, but to respond to it. Even if today brings uncertainty, I will still praise. Even if prayers remain unanswered, I will still sing. Even if the weight is not lifted, I will still lift my voice. Because praise is not about my situation, it is about your character. And you, Lord, are always worthy. I look around and find small reasons to rejoice. The breath in my lungs, the morning light through the window, the quiet presence of your spirit beside me. I do not take these for granted. I let my gratitude grow from these seeds, and I allow praise to spring forth, not as obligation, but as overflow. You are holy. You are kind. You are faithful through every season. You are unchanging when everything else shifts. You are patient with my process, tender with my heart, and strong in my weakness. You deserve more than my requests. You deserve my adoration, my reverence, my awe. God, let this praise not end when this moment does. Let it walk with me through the rest of the day. Let it guide how I speak to others, how I face obstacles, how I respond to stress. Let it be woven into my thoughts, saturate my choices, and become the undercurrent of every action. Let my life echo back to you with gratitude and trust. Remind me, when I am tempted to complain, to praise instead. When I am tempted to fear, to praise instead. When I feel small, unseen, or unsure, let praise become my pathway back to truth. It is the truth that you are good, you are near, you are strong, you are for me, and no amount of confusion or delay can ever change who you are. Father, I want my praise to be consistent, not conditional. I want it to rise when I feel you, and when I do not. I want it to be an act of faith, not just a response to blessing. I want it to be my offering, my declaration, and my shelter all at once. So I praise you now, in the quiet, in the ordinary, in the unremarkable morning that becomes holy simply because you are here. I praise you for what has been, for what is, and for what will be. I praise you not for the things I expect, but for the presence I experience, for the hope that returns, for the peace that surrounds, for the love that never lets go. This is how I want to live, not from reaction, but from revelation, not chasing emotions, but anchored in truth, not waiting for perfection, but praising through process, because I believe that even now you are working, healing, restoring, and drawing me deeper into who you are. And so, with no music playing and no spotlight shining, I lift my heart, I open my mouth, I offer my soul, I praise you, here and now, because you are worthy, Father, as praise settles into my spirit and reshapes the way I see this day, my thoughts begin to move outward. My heart, once consumed by its own pain, now becomes aware of the many lives around me. I realize that while you have been gently restoring me, there are others carrying burdens just as heavy, fighting battles just as unseen. And in this quiet strength you have given me, I feel drawn to stand not only for myself, but for them. Lord, I lift before you the faces that come to mind without effort, family members who smile on the outside but ache within, friends who rarely speak of their struggles because they fear becoming a burden, loved ones who have drifted far, not only in distance but in spirit. You know each name, you know each story, you know every silent cry that has never found words. I bring them to you now, not with solutions, but with faith that you see them fully. I pray for those weighed down by sickness, whether in body or mind. Some are exhausted from treatments, others from waiting, others from pain that does not respond to explanation. Touch them in ways no medicine can. Surround them with peace where fear has taken root. Strengthen them when their own strength is gone. Let them feel your nearness even in long nights and uncertain days. God, I think of those facing financial strain, making impossible choices between needs, carrying the constant pressure of providing with limited means. You know the stress that steals sleep and dignity. Open doors they cannot see. Provide in ways that restore hope, not just resources. Remind them that their worth is not measured by what they can give, but by who they are to you. I bring before you broken relationships, homes marked by tension, silence, or separation. Heal what has been fractured by misunderstanding, pride, or pain. Soften hearts that have grown guarded. Restore communication where walls have replaced connection. Bring reconciliation where bitterness has lingered too long, where restoration is not yet possible. Grant peace and wisdom to move forward without hatred. Father, I pray for children and young people finding their way in a confusing world. Protect their minds from voices that distort truth and identity. Guide their steps when direction feels unclear. Surround them with mentors who speak life and model integrity. Keep them from paths that promise freedom but lead to harm. Let them know they are seen, valued, and loved by you. I lift those trapped in cycles of addiction, fear, or destructive habits. Break what binds them, not with force, but with grace that transforms from within. Replace false comfort with true healing. Give them courage to seek help, strength to endure recovery, and hope that change is possible. Let shame lose its grip, and let freedom begin to take root. Lord, I also pray for those who lead others. Parents, caregivers, teachers, healers, leaders carrying responsibility that weighs heavily. Renew their strength. Guard their hearts from burnout. Give them wisdom that goes beyond knowledge and patience that flows from compassion. Remind them they are not alone in the work they do. I extend this prayer beyond my circle, to those I may never meet, people suffering in silence, communities marked by loss, places where injustice and fear seem overwhelming. You are present there too. Move through hearts willing to bring change. Protect the vulnerable. comfort the grieving, guide those searching for peace. As I intercede, I realize that prayer does more than ask. It connects. It unites my heart with yours. It stretches my compassion beyond convenience. It reminds me that I am part of something larger than my own journey. And even as I speak these names and needs, I trust that you are already at work in ways I cannot trace. Father, teach me to carry others in prayer without carrying their burdens as my own. Teach me to trust you with what I cannot fix. Let my concern lead me to compassion, not anxiety. Let my care produce faith, not exhaustion. Help me remember that you are the Savior, not me. I release these lives into your hands now. I do not cling to the outcome. I do not measure success by visible change. I believe that every prayer offered in sincerity is received, that every request placed before you matters, that no act of intercession is wasted, even when results unfold slowly. As this day continues, keep my heart open to others. Make me attentive to needs I might otherwise overlook. Let my words carry kindness. Let my actions reflect empathy. Let my presence become a quiet answer to someone else's prayer, not through striving, but through love shaped by you. I trust you with those I love and those I do not know. I trust you with their journeys, their timing, their healing, and as I place them before you, I feel the quiet assurance that you are faithful, attentive, and already moving in their lives. I remain here for a moment longer, holding space for others, believing that the same grace that meets me also reaches them, weaving all of our stories together in your care. Father, as I place others into your care and release their needs with faith, I feel something stirring within me, quiet at first, but undeniable. It is not pride. It is not relief. It is a gentle shift from pleading into receiving. Not because every prayer has been answered, but because something in me is beginning to believe that they already are, not by sight, but by faith, not in full, but in promise. And that is enough for today. Lord, you are not a distant listener. You are the giver of good gifts, the door that opens, the well that does not run dry. And I do not want to miss what you are pouring out, because I am too focused on what I lack. I do not want to walk past the miracle already unfolding, because I am still searching for a sign that fits my expectation. You are doing more than I can see, and this morning I choose to welcome it. You have been faithful even when I doubted. You have been working in ways I could not trace. And now, as light stretches across this day, I want to lift my eyes not in question, but in readiness. I do not want to keep praying as if I am still bound. I want to begin living as if freedom has already come. I want to speak as if healing is already working its way through my bones. I want to walk as if the door has already opened, even if I do not yet know where it leads. God, I receive what you are giving. I receive peace where anxiety has lived for too long. I receive joy where heaviness once made its home. I receive clarity where confusion clouded my steps. I receive restoration where loss tried to define my story. I receive strength not just to endure, but to rise, to step, to move forward with intention. This is not a posture of entitlement. It is a posture of faith, the kind that believes you are not withholding, but always providing, the kind that does not manipulate outcomes, but trusts that what you give is exactly what is needed, not always in the form I imagined, but always in the timing that reveals your wisdom. Help me recognize what I once called delays as divine preparation. Help me see the ways you protected me from what I thought I wanted. Help me look at the closed doors not as rejection, but as redirection towards something better. Teach me to receive even the hard things, not as punishments, but as pathways that lead to deeper growth, deeper dependence, to deeper beauty. Father, I open my heart to promises I once dismissed as too far, too late, too broken. I bring back to life the dreams I buried under discouragement. I remove the labels that said not for me, and instead I speak hope over the places I once gave up on. I receive not only the answered prayer, but the capacity to carry it, the wisdom to steward it, the character to honor it. Let this day be marked not by striving, but by living in alignment with your provision. Let me move through this day as one who has been blessed, not because everything is perfect, but because I am anchored in the one who is. Let my steps be filled with quiet confidence, not arrogance, not rush, but peace that says, I know who goes before me. I let go of the belief that I must earn what you give freely. I let go of the shame that says I am not worthy. I let go of the fear that something good will be taken the moment I embrace it. Those voices no longer belong in the story you are writing through my life. I silence them with the truth that you are a generous God who delights in giving more than I could ask or imagine. Let my words today reflect gratitude, not hesitation. Let my interactions carry the fragrance of someone who knows they have been seen, chosen, and called. Let me walk not with a heavy spirit, but with lifted eyes, ready to recognize your fingerprints in the small and the sacred. God, I receive healing in places I have hidden. I receive courage where doubt tried to reign. I receive peace not as an idea, but as a present reality. I receive identity not based on past wounds or public opinion, but rooted in who you have always said I am. I receive joy not because everything has changed, but because you are with me, and that changes everything. Let today be the beginning of new perspective. Let it be the day I stop waiting to feel ready and start trusting that you already are. Let it be the day I embrace what you have been trying to place in my hands for far too long. I do not want fear to keep me from holding what faith has made room for. You are not just the God of the impossible. You are the God who fulfills, the God who finishes what he starts, the God who brings forth harvest from buried seeds, the God who restores years lost to regret, to pain, to wandering. And I receive it not with loud celebration, but with steady belief. If your presence is my portion, I lack nothing. If your promises are true, I walk in abundance. Even in the waiting, I receive your goodness, not as a concept, but as a reality I choose to live from. I welcome the shift. I embrace the new. I stand open, not because I know what is next, because I trust the one who holds it. So I enter this day differently, not empty, but filled, not lost, but led, not anxious, but assured. Because you are faithful, because you are near, because what I have prayed for is already on its way, and what I have waited for is already being woven together behind the veil. And because I trust you, I receive what you are doing, even if I do not yet understand it, even if it comes quietly, even if it looks nothing like I imagined. I receive it with joy, with reverence, and with hands open wide. Lord, as this journey of prayer draws to a quiet close, I pause not to end, but to breathe in the fullness of what has unfolded. These moments shared in the early hours have been more than whispered requests or silent tears. They have been a meeting place, a space where wounds found healing, fear made room for courage, and hope gently stretched its wings again. Father, I came to you uncertain, carrying more questions than answers, more weight than strength, and yet here, little by little, you peeled back the heaviness. You met me in the sorrow and walked me through the doubt. You waited with me in the silence and held steady ground beneath my shaking feet. I did not always recognize your hand, but I see now that you were in every still breath, every whisper of peace, every quiet reminder that I was not alone. In this final moment of the morning, I want to thank you not for tying every thread into a perfect ending, for being the one who weaves beauty from brokenness, who remains even when the lights dim and the world begins to rush again. You are not only God of the mountain, but the faithful presence in the valley. You do not fade when the prayer ends. You stay. You linger. You carry. And for those who have walked this path with me, step by step, word by word, breath by breath, I thank you for them too. For every heart that dared to show up, even when it was easier to stay numb. For every soul that leaned in, even when doubt whispered they were wasting time. For every person who chose to keep seeking. Keep hoping. Keep believing that something sacred could happen in the quiet. May each one know that their voice matters, that their story is not too messy, too late, or too complicated for you, that their tears are noticed, their prayers are heard, and their hearts are held, that healing does not have to come all at once to still be real, that even the smallest flame of faith can light a way forward. I bless the one who is still waiting. May they know that waiting is not wasted. I bless the one who is still hurting. May they find comfort that does not need to be explained. I bless the one who is just beginning to hope again. May their steps be sure, even if slow. And I bless the one who has found joy rising again after long nights. May they carry it gently and share it freely. Lord, help us to carry what we have gathered here into the rest of our lives, not as a ritual, but as a rhythm, not as a checklist, but as a relationship. Let this prayer not remain a memory, but become a way of being. Let it shape how we rise, how we speak, how we love. Let it remind us to come back morning after morning, because you are already waiting. May we greet each new day not with dread, but with a quiet expectation that you will meet us again in the soft, unfolding light. May we choose peace before panic, presence before performance, surrender before striving. May we keep space in our hearts for wonder, for stillness, for the sound of your voice above all others. And if the world grows loud again, and it will, may we return to this place, to this pause, to this promise. May we remember that we are never too far from your love, never too broken for your healing, never too forgotten for your grace. You are the constant, the steady, the morning light that never fails. As the sun continues its rise and the world begins to move, I move too, but with greater peace, with deeper trust, with softer eyes to see what you are doing. I do not leave this moment behind. I take it with me, like a steady current beneath the surface, like a quiet song I keep humming, like a breeze that finds my face just when I need it most. To the one who listened, who prayed, who stayed until the end, thank you. Thank you for giving your heart the gift of stillness. Thank you for walking this sacred path with honesty and with courage. Your journey matters. Your presence here matters. I pray that something within you has shifted, even if just a little. I pray that peace has found a corner of your heart to rest in. Pray that you rise from this space, not only with words, but with warmth, with the soft certainty that you are known, loved, and never alone. If this prayer has spoken to you in any way, I invite you to share your thoughts, your story, or your own quiet prayer in the space below. Sometimes what we release into the light helps someone else take their first step forward. Sometimes your words become someone else's healing. And if these mornings have blessed you, I warmly invite you to subscribe to this channel. When you do, you become part of a circle of souls who are seeking, growing, and choosing faith each day. Don't forget to share this prayer with someone who might need to hear it. Someone sitting in silence, waiting for a voice of comfort. Let them know they are not alone. As we close this time, let the blessing of this morning remain with you. Let it travel with you into the hours ahead. Let it rise with you like sunlight cresting the horizon. Gentle, certain, full of promise. Keep the light close, keep the faith steady, and return to this place whenever your heart needs rest. The invitation never expires. The morning always returns, and so does grace, like a breeze through open windows, like the hush before the world awakes, like the soft light of dawn stretching across your soul.